And among the hostages that would be a part of any ceasefire deal reached in Doha are 8 Americans, 5 of whom are still believed to be alive. Earlier today, I spoke to the parents of one of those Americans, Hersh Goldberg-Polin, who was taken by Hamas on October 7th and has been held hostage now for 314 days. I began by asking his parents about their level of optimism that the ongoing talks in Doha, what I was just talking to Andrea about, could lead to a breakthrough, and when they last heard from the administration on the status of those talks.
We were in touch with the administration exactly 6 days ago on Friday. And that's the last direct communication that the U.S. families have had that I'm aware of. You know, there are 8 Americans still being held hostage among the 115 hostages who hail from 23 different countries total. And in terms of how optimistic we are always trying to stay optimistic and hopeful, and we are in a constant state of extreme ambiguous trauma, as anyone who is a parent or has ever had a parent can imagine. And so we try to remain realistic and positive, and yet we've been in this excruciating place now for almost 11 months.
As you know, Hamas is not attending this latest round of talks. Does that concern you that Hamas is not going to be at the table, or do you think potentially that could allow an actual breakthrough to happen?
I mean, Hamas has been represented pretty consistently by some combination of the Qataris and the Egyptians, and that's the case today and tomorrow as well. Ultimately, what we need to happen, and we need it to happen immediately, is what are called proximity talks. We're waiting for the time when Israeli representatives and Hamas representatives are sitting in adjoining rooms, and mediators are literally going back and forth to finalize every detail. And we're really hoping that coming out of the talks today and tomorrow, it immediately proceeds to those proximity talks. I don't know if even for those, Hamas will actually have people in the room or will be their Qatari and Egyptian mediators. But that's what we're shooting for. And whoever it is who can speak today on behalf of Hamas, that's who we need at the table. And that's what we're shooting for.
I want to ask you about some of our latest reporting. NBC News has confirmed that Prime Minister Netanyahu has apparently added some new conditions, which may have complicated negotiations. A Middle Eastern official telling our reporters that when proposals were taken back to Jerusalem, Prime Minister Netanyahu then, quote unquote, moved the goalposts. What's your reaction to hearing that? Do you accept that characterization?
Well, we're not privy to the details that are in the actual deal. And so we are kind of at the mercy, as most of the masses are, of getting our information from the media, from the press, and it depends who you're reading or who you're watching. So we don't know what's real and what's not real. If indeed anyone is playing games and moving goalposts and creating drama and theater for reasons that are not in the best interests of all of the innocent people who are caught in the crosshairs of this horrifying tragedy. So that's not just the 115 hostages and all of their families, but it's also hundreds of thousands of innocent people in the entire region. I mean, the Gazan people need relief desperately as well. And I think that at this point, we really need everyone who is a responsible leader and elected official to be the grown-up in the room to do what is right.
Looking ahead to next week, you are, it's my understanding, planning to attend the Democratic National Convention. Talk a little bit, if you will, both of you, about that decision, and what are you hoping to hear from Democratic leaders? What do you want to hear from them?
Well, it's an interesting transition period for the Democrats, but what's relevant for us and the hostage families is that President Biden and Vice President Harris and the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, all 3 of them have been consistent with their messaging. now is the time to do a deal. We cannot miss this opportunity. And so we are hoping to hear that the Harris campaign, the Harris-Walz campaign, is going to be pushing that message hard, that they're not going to be letting their feet off the gas in the transition from President Biden to a Harris administration potentially. And we're really looking for them to continue to hammer the message and the actions that they've been doing, which is, number one, we need to release these hostages. We need to bring them home. As part of that, the expectation is there's going to be a halt or a ceasefire that's going to offer much needed relief to Gazan civilians and, in general, decrease tension in this region. We've got the Hezbollah heating up in the north. We've got the Houthis. We've got Iranian threats. And it's such a tense, stressful time. And we are in the same camp as the Americans, and Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield spoke about this at the United Nations yesterday. The singular event that can reduce tension in this region most immediately is to do a deal to release the hostages and have all the other things become less tense as part of that.
I'll add to that, by the way, that it's very clear that the hostage issue is not a political issue. And so we're going to this convention as people pleading for a humanitarian relief in this region that is not politically based. We've had tremendous support, bipartisan support, which we've been so heartened by and has been really helpful to all of the hostage families.
Well, we will end it on those powerful points, and our thoughts are with your precious Hersh and your entire family at this incredibly difficult time. Thank you for taking time to speak to us, Rachel and John Polin. We really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your family story.
Thank you,
Kristen. Thank you for telling this important story to the American people.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.